greater value added. And then it's also possible to facilitate again the storage of the purified, extracted bioactive compounds to dry these compounds. So, as we saw earlier already in the presentation from the beginning of this session, the drying of the processing residue is necessary because they contain a lot of water, 60 to 80% of water. So therefore different techniques can be used. We studied tray dryer, drum dryer, which is, as explained today morning, a little bit like a washing machine turning, where the product is turning. On the tray, it's air which is going through the trays to dry. And belt dryer can also be used. The choice of the technique to use is always depending on the economic side, of course. And this is just some of the possibilities that are existing. The problem with lycopene in dry material is that it's very sensitive to air oxidation. So there has to be a way has to be found to protect the lycopene from this air oxidation. Then to guarantee homogeneous extraction, it's of course necessary to homogenize the whole dried press cake or processing residues. Milling is an easy solution for that. I just would like to present you now some of the extraction techniques that are possible to extract these bioactive compounds. So first of all, conventional solid-liquid extraction. So the idea is to put the pomace in contact with solvent. For lycopene, it's possible, for example, ethanol or ethyl acetate are used quite often. And the selection of the solvent is depending, of course, on the substance you want to extract and on the thermal stability of it. The advantage of that extraction process, so solid liquid, is that first of all it is something that is very well known. Good yield can be achieved with it, and you have the possibility to recycle the solvent you are using. Second extraction technique would be the sonicated assisted extraction. So the principle is quite similar to the traditional solid liquid extraction, but with the addition of sound waves or ultrasounds, which guarantee a greater penetration of the solvent inside the matrix of the pomace, and then is enabling a better extraction. So the advantage of this technique is that it is milder than traditional extraction, and it's quite good for compounds that are sensitive to temperature, because it can be performed with very low temperatures. The microwave-assisted extraction is another process that can be used to extract bioactive compounds from tomato processing residues. Again, the principle is the same as the solid liquid extraction, but this time instead of adding ultrasound, you add microwave, which are interacting with the polar molecules and generating heat. And this is leading to the rupture of the cellular walls and then the extraction of the compounds of interest. The advantage is that the extraction yields are improved, so it's quite interesting in that sense, and the time of extraction are reduced. So a better extraction going faster. Another technique of extraction is with using supercritical fluid. So the supercritical state is a state of the CO2 in that case, which is the used solvent, having the characteristic of gases and liquids. And it has a very, in that state, the CO2 has a very good penetration in the matrix of the pomace, and it's very good to extract the compounds of interest. The advantage is that the CO2 is a cheap solvent, it is safe, and there is no trace of it in the final product compared to traditional solvents. After the extraction, as I told you before, to increase the added value of the product, you can perform some purification by different ways, either chromatography techniques, knowing that outside the laboratory scale, these techniques are quite expensive, so they are usually replaced by membranes technique, which are filtration, depending on the size of the particles you want to filtrate, can be micro, ultra, or reverse osmosis. And the drying of these extracted purified bioactive compounds is necessary for safe storage and can be performed by different techniques that are currently used, freeze drying, for example, or spray drying, knowing that, again, the cost factor is influencing in the choice. Freeze drying would be better for sensitive products, but is quite expensive as spray drying. So, as a conclusion to my presentation, I just would like to say that also the techniques I presented you might not be new and were very innovative. I think what is innovative in that sense is really to use different techniques to extract and to valorize the tomato processing residues. And the choice of there are a lot of techniques existing, and the choice is depending on the costs, of course, and the interest of the company who would like to go to work in that sense. Gracias por su atención.